All right, why don't we start off with the news? Berkshire Hathaway, Appaloosa, also Michael Burry buying into UNH. What do you make of that buy?
I think it's a great long-term play. I think a lot of investors are wondering when it's going to bottom. They're basically a systemically important company to America with their embeddedness in our insurance market, private and public. And so I look at this, it may be a long-term play, but it could be a phenomenal buy and a little bit of a bottom grab. And it may be the turning point for investor sentiment. This stock has been extremely unloved, partially rightfully so. But at this point, then now you can see the tide turn. It becomes potentially a self-fulfilling prophecy that everybody starts to pile back in it because of the trains leaving the station. So you could still see, if we have news flow from the government, they need to settle out some of their probes and some of the legalese. But likely the legal issues they have are mostly fines, which the history on the fines are very manageable considering their cash flow. Be great if they could get that behind them, but this could be the tide turning moment. Absolutely.
With that in mind, is this possibly a signal about the broader healthcare sector? I mean, healthcare is the lagging sector this year, down almost 3%. These investors seem to think there's a bottom in UNH. Do you think there also is a bottom here when it comes to healthcare more broadly?
I think healthcare is going to get jerked around a lot by news flow. I think more TARMA tariffs, more federal government intervention, the MAHA movement. You have so much bad news in the face. I think you could see this a bottoming process. I think we're in the middle of that for that sector by far. It's also defensive sectors beyond healthcare. You've had staples also lag, have not been where investors want to be. So if we see a tide turn on sentiment, we come back into favor with a little bit more defensive names. Healthcare could show a little bit more life. It just is going to get jerked around by news flow, I think, because the federal government, I don't think they're done with changes they want to make, especially considering Medicare, drug pricing, and what that's going to do to pharma. So I think you have to be a little bit cautious still, but the opportunities are there if you're willing to be a bit patient. And sometimes patient means you're going to get kicked in the teeth in the first few months. Maybe you have to buy it down as it's going down. But if you can buy low, that's a phenomenal thing if you can be patient and wait a few years for these to come back.
All right, I want to get to your word of the day. It's unbothered. Are you referring to the S&P hitting a new high, just very barely, though, after that hotter than expected PPI report?
Yeah, it's completely unbothered. Bad news is good news, and good news is good news, and any news is good news. It doesn't matter where it starts. It's been rallying out the day almost consistently. I think we're at our 17th all-time high yesterday. And so for me, the market is extremely unbothered. Everybody points to, well, the what ifs. Well, what could go wrong? And we've got this, we've got that. And it's the news flow isn't bothering it. It's climbing this wall of worry. It doesn't care at all. And it's just kind of like keep calm and rally on.
Also, want to get to your pick. It's Walmart. What are you seeing in Walmart ahead of earnings?
Oh, I love Walmart. First off, I always remind people 90% of the US population lives within 10 miles of a Walmart. And Walmart is absolutely brilliant at their strategizing over their 5-year plan. They're huge in the grocery department. They continue to pick up the middle and upper end customers, not just the lower end. They continue to solidify themselves on the e-commerce side. And so, yeah, I saw the Amazon news that, Amazon's pushing a little more into grocery delivery. Walmart's pushing right back. They're pushing into general merchandising. And so if you look at their positioning, their supply chain, they continue to automate it, continue to pick up on their gross margins. I think their sales are going to grow 4.2, 4.4%. I think foot traffic is going to continue to increase, and they do wonderfully during the back to school season. They're brilliant with their pricing, and they're trying to show their value to their customers. And stocks that have shown value have done well. Look at a McDonald's, Eat with Chili's, Dollar General. So if you're you're showing your consumer, come shop with us. You're going to find value here. That is appealing to a broad section of the United States, not just the low income, but the middle and the high end is a phenomenal opportunity.
Vicky, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned some restaurant names. Walmart is the biggest grocer in the U.S. as well, so they have that business about half of revenues. But we have seen some weakness in some fast casual chains. I'm thinking like a Sweet Green and some other names like that, also Cava. Is this, in your mind, a buy that's going to lean into like staples and the fact that people may be cutting back on discretionary spending, but of course, they still have to eat and buy things for their house, et cetera?
Yeah, it's absolutely a defensive name. That you have to buy grocery, you've got to do some back to school shopping. The one thing we're watching for is if are people trading down. We know that maybe electronics aren't moving as fast, but that's not bad. If Walmart can continue to grow their Walmart brand name like a Kirkland for Costco, that's great for their margin. So if trade down isn't necessarily bad for Walmart, but it is hitting their spending, and like we saw in the restaurants, people are not willing to maybe spend for the premium lunch, the Sweet Green, the Cava, the Chipotles of the world. They are still willing to spend at Chili's or McDonald's, and they're still looking for ways to enjoy and improve their lives. They're just looking for a discount.